right, go to the first slide. Hi, I'm Kiana Smith,
I'm Lisa Navarez.
And I'm Micaela Flores.
and our presentation is about families in poverty and who have experienced loss of income.
There are many different problems, needs, and challenges that affect this population. For example, in 2020, there were 37.2 million people who were in poverty, which is approximately 3.3 million more than was reported in 2019. Job loss can have damage to workers, their mental and physical health, and also their well being. In the United States, when compared with the more affluent parents, low income parents are more likely to use authoritative and punitive punishing styles and are less likely to interact with their children in ways that support their learning. Depression and anxiety are the most common mental illnesses, and those who are living in poverty are substantially more likely to experience mental ill health than the affluent. The rates of childhood poverty in the United States have remained very high over the past 40 years. Approximately 1 in 5 children live in families with income below the federal poverty threshold. When poverty exists in childhood, and especially deep poverty early in childhood, this is associated with a very broad range of problems, including physiological, biological, cognitive, academic, and social emotional development. And as evidence grows, these problems will persist into adulthood. In 2021, 13.5 million households were food insecure. That means they had difficulty at some time during the year providing enough food for all of the members because of a lack of resources. Administrative burdens in the social welfare programs is increasingly recognized as a barrier to eligible individuals their access to their legally entitled benefits, such as the Temporary Assistance to Needy Families, or TANF, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, and Medicaid.
According to research, assessment identifies different areas of stressors that need to be addressed for families who are coping with poverty and income loss. But identifying the problem and communicating with families are very important because it stands out to where they want to start at, and then it can help them change the struggle in a positive way and have a better future for themselves. Also, two assessment tools that will benefit the family relation and how to cope with life circumstances and fight different problem solving strategies would be the Family Crisis Oriented Personal Evaluation Scale and the Family Coping Index. And consideration also needs to come in place regarding safety net benefits, such as the temporary assistance for needy families, supplemental nutrition assistance program, and unemployment insurance, depending if the families meet the criteria based on their income, the state that they live in, and if the individual is able to work and actively looking for work to better themselves for their household. And studies also has determined that welfare benefits in certain states sometimes does not help to meet the needs of the families, especially with breadwinners who have recently lost their job.
So, a good theoretical approach that has been found to work well with families in poverty or who are experiencing income loss would be the structural family therapy. Structural family therapy, according to Van Hook, has a goal of attempting to change the family structure to allow the family to be freed from symptoms, to alleviate to alleviate conflict and stress within the family and help the family learn new coping strategies. Now, the role of the therapist in structural family therapy is to actively join with the family, meaning become like a part of the family, sometimes even mirroring their actions and the things that they're doing and how they're talking, and acting almost like a stage manager while also attending to the different cultural aspects of the family. As it relates to the resiliency model, some of the risk factors that families with low income or who are living in poverty experience are ineffective leadership, ineffective family organization, and they also many times have ineffective family belief systems. Some of the protective factors for these families would include, and what we want to work on building on would include cohesion and boundaries, coping strategies, good coping strategies, effective leadership and effective family organization, and also positive interactions and belief systems. Now, some of the interventions that are used in structural family therapy would include joining, which I spoke about briefly, acting as if you are one with the family mapping, which is where you actually draw out a map of the different family members and their relationships, the stressors, the strains, the triangulations, and different things like that. The enactments, where families act out some of the problems or issues that they've been having in the home. We also challenge families' symptoms, structure, and reality. We get into reframing so that families can begin to think about their situation differently. We work on boundary making and unbalancing hierarchies and subsystems within the family, trying to kind of make an equal place for each person to share and be a part of what's going on in the family. What's very important when working with these interventions is repetition. It is key. You have to keep working on these different interventions with the family so that they can begin to become a part of their natural way of being with one another. And then along with those interventions, there are also basic principles that apply to this type of therapy that you want to make sure you're incorporating throughout your work with the families. And those would include focusing on concrete issues, selecting issues in the present, knowing that the past, of course, will be embedded within what you're talking about presently, but focusing on the present. Enacting families' issues during the actual session with the therapist, realigning the structure of the family, maybe aligning with one of the family members who doesn't speak so much, or trying to kind of position them in different places when they sit in the session. Building on family strengths, which is what we do as social workers, strength-based perspectives, creating opportunities for new ways for the family to interact with one another, actively participating with the family, being a part of the family, exploring the importance of spirituality as a resource, because many times families will not bring it up because they think they're in therapy, but it is our job to kind of explore how important spirituality is to the family and how it could possibly be a resource for them. And finally, it is our job as a therapist to initiate, facilitate, and then close those enactments that the families do when they're in our presence in the session.
So the role play that's going to be conducted today, in this role play, Greg and Julia are married with two teenage children who are not present at the session. The family is coping with income loss because Greg has recently lost his job and Julia has picked up a second job to bring more money into the home. The theory that will be reflected in this role play is structural family therapy. The two related techniques used are challenging the family structure and enactment. There will also be a focus on concrete issues. The social worker will be played by Kiana Smith, Greg will be played by Lisa Navarez, and Julia will be played by Michaela Flores.
Hello, Greg and Julia. Thank you for coming to see me today. What brings you in today?
Well, things have been really hard lately. My husband recently lost his job, so now I'm just taking the load of working not one job, but two jobs to bring home income. Not only that, we have two teenage children who depend on us and they're always asking for this and that. And then we try to explain to them that they need to understand that we have to, save money now, and we just cannot buy everything that they want.
I didn't get any advance notice that I was being let go. I was told something about how they need a cut position, and that was it. I don't know what to do now. It took me a long time to find that job. It was close to home and the pay was okay. We don't have any savings and the bills keep coming.
Hmm. But it sounds like your family is experiencing an unforeseen event with the unexpected loss of your job, Greg. And Julia, now you're working two jobs instead of one. I am glad you guys came in today so that we can begin to help navigate this experience.
Nobody told her to get another job. I just lost my job a few weeks ago and she is freaking out. She's gone all the time, leaving me home with our ungrateful teenagers, and they're getting more disrespectful every day.
Well, Greg, I don't want to lose our home. I mean, I'm trying to do what I need to do to have money coming in.
Wow. Julia, you were able to secure another job rather quickly. Now you have more money coming into the home. But Greg, I know you're usually the main breadwinner. So tell me, what's this been like for you?
I feel like less than a man. I'm afraid I will not find another job and we're going to sink further in debt. My kids talk back to me all of the time, and I'm always yelling at them but to listen, but they never do.
Greg, you do lose your patience very quickly and then you're always yelling at them. You need to speak to them more calmly. And also the kids are saying that you're very confrontational and it really upsets them.
I feel like all of you are against me and I am very frustrated. I didn't lose my job on purpose.
Greg, I heard you say you feel like the family is against you. What things do you think they do to show that they are against you?
It's like I said before, the kids are very disrespectful, and Julia always takes their side. She never tells them to respect me. I mean, I am still the man of the house.
Julia, do you feel like you always take the kid's side against Greg?
Well, I didn't think that's what I was doing. To be honest, I do side with them often because it just seems like he's always yelling at them. Um, I'm actually trying to calm everyone down, and I guess it doesn't come across like that to Greg.
Well, Greg, are there times when Julia does seem to take your side?
It's not often, but right after I lost my job, there was a time that Julia reprimanded the kids and told them to be nice to your father because he's having a hard time. Now, that kind of made me feel supported by her.
And Julia, what made you reprimand the kids that particular time?
Well, contrary to what he believes, I do care about him. And I knew at that time he was really struggling and really depressed. And I was feeling very sorry for him. So I just told the kids you need to be nice.
Okay. So from what I'm hearing, the job loss has put additional strain on the family and is also affecting everyone in different ways. For example, the kids seem to be more disrespectful, and Julia seems pretty overwhelmed with two jobs. And Greg, it seems like the situation is affecting your mood, and even you may be more depressed lately. Based on what you're saying, though, any family would feel the tension and strain that your family is experiencing right now. I want to try something with you guys. Think about your last disagreement. What was it about?
Julia came home after midnight.
Yeah, because I was working my ass off.
Okay. So I want the two of you to act out that interaction again. Focus on the facts of what was actually occurring and what you were trying to communicate to the other person. Also, focus on the tone and the words you use as you reenact this conversation.
She never works that late. I was worried that something may have happened to her.
And Greg, it's understandable for you to have been worried, but I want you to talk directly to Julia about it.
Julia, you did not answer your phone when I called and I thought something was wrong.
Greg, I'm sorry. I did not expect to get home late. I got stuck at work. I was trying to leave. I'm so sorry that I made you worry.
See what I mean? I'm not trying to make you mad. I just worry about you. I didn't know what was going on.
Okay. I mean, I can understand why you have been worried.
That's good. I'm very proud of you two for participating in that role play. I noticed that in the beginning, both of you appeared to be defensive and confrontational. However, once you begin to listen to the other person, the communication was much more respectful. I also noticed both of you begin to soften your body postures. For instance, Julia, you uncrossed your arms, and Greg, you even unclenched your jaws.
Yeah, I did.
It seems that you both care for each other a great deal, and that assumptions have caused your communication to break down. This increases the tension between you two. So, you guys can see that sometimes the way we say things can cause the other person to misunderstand the intent of what was really meant. But you both just demonstrated in this role play that by taking the time to effectively communicate, we can reduce the likelihood of creating tension between the two of you and even the children.
Yeah, I see what we did there. That was very helpful. I think we should be more mindful next time in how we communicate. I mean, the more we practice this, the better we will get at it. And acting it out really helped me see how we were talking to each other.
And I agree. And by acting it out, I can see how my tone probably hurts Julia and the kids when I'm just trying to show I care. Thank you. That really opened my eyes.
No problem.
And this is the end of our presentation. Hope you enjoy.